Hello and welcome to Brass Tacks. We're coming to you live from the CNN News18 and Federal Bank Primetime Studio. I'm Zaka Jacob. What is common to what happened in Pune with the now infamous Porsche car crash, with what happened in a hospital in East Delhi over the weekend in which 6 newborn babies were charred to death, and a gaming zone accident in Rajkot where 28 people, including 9 children, died? The Pune accused blood sample was replaced, and the 2 doctors who are accused of having done that, they have been arrested. They are accused of having gone easy with him by replacing a blood sample which had traces of alcohol inside it with that of another person. The Delhi hospital, where the fire claimed 6 lives, that of babies, it did not have a fire clearance. The Rajkot gaming zone, it was called the TRP gaming zone, was built in a residential area where it should not have come up in the first place. All of these 3 incidents point to just one thing, and that is this: that if in this country you are rich and powerful, then you can make the law bend to your whims and fancies. Is there one set of rules for the Aam Aadmi and one set of rules for the rich and powerful in this country? But first, the story of what happened in Pune, in Delhi, and in Rajkot.
₹4 लाख से कुछ नहीं होगा, 10 लाख देगा तो कुछ नहीं होगा। इसके घर में से कोई भी आदमी जाएगा, इसको पता चलेगा।
यहाँ पे एग्जिट गेट ही नहीं है। एंट्री गेट एक था 6-7 फुट का, वहाँ पे जाने का कुछ नहीं था। वो इमरजेंसी एग्जिट भी नहीं लगा हुआ था।
एनओसी नहीं है सर। एनओसी क्यों नहीं है? तो क्योंकि उसके पास फायर फाइटिंग इंस्टॉलेशन सिस्टम है।
हॉस्पिटल की जो एनओसी है वो भी 31 मार्च को खत्म हो गई थी और हॉस्पिटल को 5 बेड तक की परमिशन थी। 10 से ज़्यादा बेड उसमें लगाए हुए थे। फायर एग्जिट का सिस्टम नहीं था, फायर एक्सटिंग्विशर भी उसमें नहीं थे।
जो डॉक्टर हैं जिन्होंने सील करके ये रिपोर्ट फोरेंसिक को भेजी थी कि उन्होंने जुवेनाइल एक्यूज्ड का सैंपल लिया था और उसने एक किसी और व्यक्ति का सैंपल से उसको रिप्लेस करके उस जुवेनाइल एक्यूज्ड का नाम लिख करके उसको फोरेंसिक लैब को भेजा था।
All right, let's take you through what are easily the most glaring systemic problems that have come to light in each of these 3 incidents. Let's start with the Rajkot TRP game zone fire. That disaster, 28 people, including 9 children, died in the fire. The lapses was there was no civic license to operate this gaming zone. There was no fire safety clearance that was given to this gaming zone. There was a crowd, in fact, there was about 1,500 to 2,000 liters of diesel that was stored for generators for power backup in this place. There was no safety equipment installed at the site of this gaming zone. And to add to all of this, there were no crowd control measures and just one entry and exit. One entry and exit for a massive weekend crowd. There were no fire exits as well. This is what happened in Rajkot. In Delhi, at the Children's Hospital, the fire in which 7 infants were killed, it happened in a colony called Vivek, Vihar in East Delhi. The lapse, you heard one of the officials there say, the license that was given to the hospital expired on the 31st of March. We are now in the 3rd week of May. Clearly, this hospital had no business to be functioning without renewing its license. Also, the hospital only had a license for 5 beds. Instead, there were 12 infants, 12 newborns who were admitted to that hospital. The doctors who were running this hospital were not qualified in neonatal intensive care. This is a very specialized medical science. In fact, the staff, the doctors who are staff at this hospital, do not even have MBBS degrees. They were holding BAMS degrees. There was no fire extinguisher inside the hospital, and the hospital was not equipped with an emergency exit. Now let's come to the Pune case, and this we've been talking about for the last week or so, the car crash, the cover-up, and can you believe it? There is now video evidence of this young accused, this juvenile accused, partying with his friends in a pub just minutes before the car crash happened. 2 doctors have now been arrested from a government hospital because they manipulated the blood sample that was sent for the forensic test. This teenager was able to drive around Pune without a license. The cover-up is that 2 police officials have been suspended for delaying the lab test. These 2 doctors have been arrested because they replaced the blood sample of the teenager with somebody else's, which did not have traces of alcohol. The Porsche car was allowed to ply on the roads of Pune. It ran for about 1,600 kilometers without any registration. The cops initially even accepted the argument that was put forth by the family that it was not this young man, not this juvenile, but the driver who was behind the wheel. The teenager's father and grandfather have now been arrested only after huge public outcry. The charges that were initially raised did not have the more heinous charge of 304, which is culpable homicide, not amounting to murder. It instead had just rash and negligent driving, which is 304A. So the more heinous charge got added in the second FIR. The other big lapse was the pubs. They flouted norms openly by serving alcohol to a teenager and to his friends. So all these 3 incidents, ladies and gentlemen, pointing to one simple fact, that if you're rich and powerful and have good connections in this country, you can bend the law. The system will bend for you. The system will make sure that you're off the hook, whether in Pune or in Delhi or in Rajkot. These hospitals did not have licenses to run. These gaming parks did not have a license to operate in a thickly residential area. And of course, in the Pune case, he had no business, a 17-year-old, to be drunk and behind the wheel of a sports car. So what does it say? It says very clearly that if you're rich and powerful and have connections in this country, then you can get away with murder. 2 people died in Pune, 7 babies were killed in Delhi, and 28 people died in Rajkot. Yashwardhan Azad is former IPS officer. Shilpa Mittal is the sister of Siddharth Sharma. Siddharth was one of the victims of a famous hit-and-run case in Delhi, which happened some years ago. At that time, too, the accused behind the wheel was a minor. Dr. Anshuman Kumar is Director of Surgical Oncology at the Dharamshil Narayan Hospital. Shiv Khera, very popular author and a Delhi resident. Satya Mole, advocate who's filed for an intervention application against Vishal Agarwal, the father of this juvenile accused and his friends drinking just minutes before this car crash happened. And yet, to now, wrap our head around the fact that 2 doctors in a government hospital switched the sample, send a sample which did not have traces of alcohol in the blood and send somebody else's sample, and that's how the first forensic test did not reveal that the teenager was drunk. I mean, to even imagine that such a thing can be done and done by doctors, just take us through, what this episode shows to you.
This sounds familiar, Zaka, to me. When I was DIG Bhopal in 94, there was a case where we caught a guy who was hunting deers. And let me tell you, he was the son of the vice president of the local party, the ruling party. And in that particular case, the head of the forensics rang me up and said that he was offering 15,000 rupees, mind you, in 94, to change the blood sample from that of a deer to something else. So what I want to tell you is that, Zaka, in India, the governance is weakest at the point of regulation and maintenance and operations. And this is exactly what has happened in this case. I am so depressed since the time I've heard that I have to come on your show for these 3 cases. And because, even in the other case, you have seen that everywhere regulation has failed. What do I tell you? that if we are talking about corruption at the level of municipality, the police, and all the lower end functionaries at the key system of public delivery systems, they have failed. And that is why we are happening. That is why we are having these incidents. And let me tell you another thing. The senior officers who are supposed to supervise all this, they have completely failed. And that's why it's very depressing, but it's a fact of life that whether if a license is not given, it's money. Whether it's the change of blood samples, it is money. And yes, I totally agree with you. If you have the money and the power, you can manipulate things in your favor. I'm sorry to say that.
Shilpa Mittal is the sister of Siddharth Sharma, who was also the victim of a hit-and-run case. And Shilpa, when you saw the news of the Pune case and this juvenile behind the wheel, and that too after having consumed alcohol, what were the memories that flashed in your mind? Because you also waged a powerful struggle to try and get the accused in your brother's case to be tried as an adult. I don't know the status of that. But just because this juvenile was 3 or 4 months short of turning 18, it seems like lenient sections of the law will only be applicable to him.
Yes, it's true. Actually, let me just address the main issue here that we have a very, very flawed system, a judiciary. The book that we follow is actually full of loopholes, is why everything boils down to that. We have a system where there are so many loopholes that these rich or these even normal people can get away with it because the government or the lawmakers are not ready to correct those flaws. I have gone to Supreme Court in January 2020 to make them realize that there is a flaw in the law, that is Section 15, where nobody can be tried as an adult if they are driving the car because there is a flaw. No matter how much we can scream and cry, the court only follows the book. And the book says nobody can be tried as an adult because there is a flaw in the law. There is nobody else's mistake. So who do you blame? You have to blame the judiciary. You know, it's like reliving again. I have been fighting for past 8 years to get some corrections done. But how much can one fight when nobody is there? The system is not there to support you. I have, if I have gone to the Supreme Court and they have actually directed the legislatives, the lawmakers to correct that loophole, and it's not been corrected. So it's going in whose favor? It's going in the favors of the rich and famous, because only they drive all these high-speed cars.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's all a collective effort to not make a law watertight. For me, I would like to request through your channel to the system that juvenile driving is a crime, period. There is no in between there.
Correct.
I'm sorry. There shouldn't be any discussion. Nobody has to fight for the justice. It's wrong means wrong. We cannot be being a victim of a situation first and then being a victim of a system. It's appalling. I'm sorry. I'm a common citizen and a common man of this country. I'm so disappointed. My grandfather is a freedom fighter. My father is a Navy person, and we are going through this. I feel, what have they worked for this to not get justice in this country?
So, Dr. Anshuman Kumar, I want to talk about the Delhi case, the Vivek Vihar fire. Now it is apparent that this hospital did not have a license to run. The license expired on 31st of March. No one bothered to renew the license. The hospital was continuing to run. It had a license only for 5 beds, but there were 12 infants admitted to the neonatal ICU. The doctors who are running the neonatal ICU, and you're a doctor, you can explain to our viewers what a complicated branch of medical science this is. The doctors who were running the neonatal ICU did not even have a basic MBBS degree. They were all BAMS degree holders, and more than twice the number of babies were there compared to the sanctioned number of beds. And this hospital was functioning.
Right. Actually, there is a legal sanctioning of hospital. There are multiple checkpoints like hospital licensing, fire safety norms, renewal of the fire safety norms, training of all the employees, starting from doctors to the housekeeping, means all the lowest possible employee, to manage fire, especially repeated mock drills. How do they manage if something happens wrong? But unfortunately, there are flaws. Today we are discussing an incident happened, but if a media can do some sting operation, or authority can go and check majority of the hospital, they have violated the norm. They are running their hospitals by violating the norms. The reason being, overcrowding means there is no enough space for fire exit. Number two, patients are not normal human being like in the mall, in the market, anywhere in the residential area. They are usually bed bound or ventilator bound, and moreover, if the patients are pediatric patients like neonates, less than 28 days of life, they can't even sense smoke, fire, flame, heat, nothing. Means more extra precaution as compared to rest of the medical hospital, rest of the hospital. Oxygen cylinder kept on the floor, no evacuation plan. Medical hospital, modern science hospital, not able to manage medical thing as well as not able to train. Violation at all the levels. But we are running this kind of hospital in the capital. This is just a tip of iceberg. Go and check majority of the hospital, they are running the same pattern.
But Shivkera, I mean, this is absolutely unacceptable. I mean, we are not a banana republic. There are laws in this country. There are rules and regulations in this country. I mean, I'm sure you've had experience of trying to start a business. The number of forms that you have to, fill up, all kinds of rules and regulations have to be followed. But somehow, whether it is the gaming center in Rajkot or this hospital in Delhi or this young man who was behind a Porsche violating all kinds of rules and regulations, it seems like if you are rich and if you have connections and if you, have access to the powerful, the system will bend for you. Look at the gaming center in Rajkot, right? 28 people died, 28, 9 of them children. It had no civic license to operate a gaming zone. There was no fire safety clearance given to this gaming zone. There were 1,500 to 2,000 liters of diesel stored in the open, presumably for generators because it's summer and there are power cuts. There was one entry and exit point, no fire exits, and you have 1,000 liters of diesel kept out in the open. Who's questioning all of this? How are these establishments allowed to run in the first place?
Well, Zaka, what's new? Is this news? What a joke. Right. Tell me, hasn't this been happening all through so many years? Upar cinema, did that not the same thing happen here? I think Mr. Azad brought a very important point. The corruption, the way it is today, what you have seen is probably the tip of the iceberg. There are so many places who have got even permits and they still don't have compliance. You know why? If they have everything complied because of corruption, they got everything done right, but they will not get the NOC unless they pay bribes to people. And yet, there's no compliance. See, in this country today, you can get a fitness certificate without inspection. Do you talk to Mr. Azad? You can get fitness certificate without inspection. So you got a certificate, who cares? Does that mean that you are compliant? Forget it. It is not. Why go this far? Look at in Bombay, also there were some actors who killed some people driving while they were driving. They got scot-free. What's the big deal? What is the big deal? Haven't we learned anything? So all of a sudden something happens and it becomes news because TRP is rated. Everybody is rated on the TRPs. What the hell?
But Mr. Khera, are you saying we should not do these stories? Are you saying the people of this country do not have a right to know what is going on? Sir. Or if they feel outraged about it, like many people are after Pune,
let me finish.
Should they not express their outrage?
Yes. No. You must do these things. My point is, don't let it die. Don't let it die. That is all. So all of a sudden it comes and then it's dead again till something else happens. I'm saying this must continue. So everybody is impacted. So point is, that is true. Who is to be blamed? The corruption, as Mr. Azad said, and also the judiciary. You see, this judiciary, the way it is, as Shilpa said, it protects the criminal and penalizes the honest people. I repeat, did you hear what she said? it protects the criminal and penalizes the honest person. So look at this. And who is creating the system? People say the system is bad. But who is creating the system? People who is sitting in position of power, they're all creators of the system. They like it this way. You know why? They go scot-free, because they are not honest themselves, because they're corrupt. They are corrupt themselves. That's why they want to have it this way.
Okay. Satya Mole has filed an intervention petition, intervention application against Vishal Agarwal, who is the father of the juvenile accused in the Pune case. Now, again, I come back to the multiple levels of lapses, cover-up that has happened at the level of various officials in the Pune case. The two doctors I mentioned who were arrested because they interchanged the blood sample, the teen's blood sample, which clearly had traces of alcohol, that was changed with someone else's, which did not have alcohol. Two police officials have also been suspended for delaying the lab test. The cops even went to the extent, Satya Mole, of accepting initially that, the driver was behind the wheel, it was not this juvenile accused. And I asked the Pune Police Commissioner this, why did you not put the heinous charge of 304, which is culpable homicide not amounting to murder, in the first FIR? Why did you wait for so many hours before you put 304? Your initial charge was just rash and negligent driving. And he said, no, much before this case came to light and much before this case came to the public domain, before all the media outrage, we had already added 304. But be that as it may, these are multiple levels of flaws, if not deliberate cover-ups, by various individuals, doctors, police, and others. Now, again, I come back to it. It's not just one branch that is at fault. If you are rich and if you can grease palms, you can do that with judges, you can do that with doctors, you can do that with cops. That's what this incident illustrates. Satya.
Correct.
Well, Zaka, I would want to separate three different points here. First of all, the problem statement was very clear to the authorities here in Pune. The residents of Pune have been time and again complaining about the problem of pubs and bars playing loud music, encroaching about public spaces, as well as operating beyond the permissible hours. At the same time, the customers of these pubs and bars, they casually drink and drive after the closure hours and far beyond the closure hours, like 3 o'clock or 4 o'clock in the morning, making loud noise and chaos in the various residential localities. This problem statement was very clear to the Pune police and various other authorities. In fact, they called to the police every day, every night to complain about this particular problem. Now, having said this, our system has always demonstrated that they are reactionary and they do not take any proactive step. Well, it is definitely having a color of corruption, no doubt about it. In fact, even a child can vouch for that there is a corruption about it. Now, having said all these things, let us talk about the Pune case. When this particular incident happened, just 4 days ago, the Pune Police Commissioner made a statement that we have evidence that the child was alcoholic, he was drunk on that particular night, and therefore the blood samples are not important. It definitely raises suspicion when today it has come to light that the doctors have destroyed the blood samples of that particular child. Yeah. There is definitely a linkage. Why is the Pune police coming across as only somebody who is conducting press releases? Why are they not ahead of what is happening? Why are they just narrating to the public what has happened as if the entire script is already ready? This is raising a lot of concern about the trust in the system, in the minds of the residents of Pune as well as the nation. Having said this, now Pune police must come clean what is happening. In fact, there are voices of concern asking that the Pune police commissioner must be suspended because he is nothing coming across but just a mouthpiece of what is happening. He should be on top of the things. Why is it that after the destruction of the blood samples, he is coming today in the morning and giving this particular press release when there are voices raising questions since last 4-5 days as to where are the blood sample? Why is the blood sample not being tested and why the reports are not coming out?
Yeshua, I think that's a fair point. Satya Mole is saying that the Pune police seems to be behind the investigation curve. They should be ahead of it. There is video footage of this young man drinking Again, the blood sample for some inexplicable reason, now we know why, but back then for some inexplicable reason, the blood sample did not show any traces of alcohol. Then you have this whole thing about the driver driving. Then the driver comes out and says that I was offered money if I were to take responsibility for this case. It seems like every time there is a theory that is put forth, there is something immediately that comes to demolish that theory. Either there is
one small point I would like to make, Zaka.
Yeah, let Yasho, Satya, one second. Let Yasho respond to this.
Yeah.
Because either it shows complicity or it shows absolutely incompetence.
I totally agree, Zaka, with Mr. Mule when he says that why the police commissioner, in fact, should have come out and said that the doctor tried to change the sample. That's extremely important. And the other thing I want to tell you, the first thing which the juvenile board should have done, should have said that this man who was drinking in the pub and enjoying himself all this while should be tried as an adult. You know, these are facts which should come out absolutely in the open. And, you know, that's why, you know, when Dr. Shiv Khera was telling the brutal truths, I agree with him. These are things which are happening in our system. Our governance is reduced to smithereens because we only talk in terms of rules and laws and procedures, etc. When it comes to actual implementation, we fail. And that's why I'm telling you, the municipality or the police, which are at the lowest end of the public delivery systems, when they are not functioning, it's a serious thing we have to contend with.
No, but Mr. Azad, Shilpa Mittal, who's also a victim of such a case where a juvenile driver, you know, hit and run her brother, she says as long as the section is there on the statutory books and the section does not change, there's nothing you can do. Section 15 says you cannot try a juvenile as an adult in a hit and run case.
I've always said that constitution and laws are meant for the people. They are not meant to restrict the people. If the juvenile board says that here is a man, 17 and a half years old, who knows everything about himself, who drunk himself, he went to the pubs and he's driving a Porsche, then he should be tried as an adult. It will make a difference.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Shilpa Mittal, so again, when I spoke to the Pune Police Commissioner, he said the very first day when this young man was produced, they moved an application in front of the Juvenile Justice Board asking that he be tried as an adult, which he says was rejected by the board. Again, when you're a judge in the Justice Board looking at this case and you already know that 2 people have died, would you not ask questions of, you know, what was the state of this man when he was driving? Did he have a license? Was he underage? Why was he behind the wheel of a sports car? I mean, are these not basic questions that any judge would ask before saying, oh, write an essay and cooperate with the traffic police?
See, it looks clearly the case of, which has been manipulated right from the start till the end. I'm actually pretty surprised that it has gone so far, because as far as I can see it, it is the way the investigation is going and the FIR, by the time it is on paper, their lawyers will have so many loopholes to get out, you know, this boy. And let me just correct everyone here that it's Juvenile Justice Board is not about punishing the kid. It's about, you know, reforming the kid. So they don't believe in punishing kids. My request is, you have to first of all correct the law where once somebody is driving and drinking, he cannot be, it's
take
like
refuge, claiming that he or she is a juvenile, yes.
He does not need a reform. He needs to take an action, and, you know, it's a no-brainer. I'm sorry. It's like, you know, such a stupid system. I'm sorry to use that word. But, I mean, if somebody is driving, somebody is drinking, and somebody is killing, and then you're talking about him being a child and writing an essay. What is it? Is it a joke? My life is not important. My brother's life, somebody's child life is not important.
You know, I agree with you 100%, Shilpa. You know, and you know why? And I'll ask Shiv Khera also this. Courts of law have repeatedly made exceptions, and this is allowed in the new law after the Nirbhaya rape case. In the new law, even if you're between 16 and 18, in the case of heinous crimes, courts have allowed juveniles to be tried as adults. The latest example was a gang rape case that happened just last week, where a court took a very, very stringent view and said, even though one of the accused was underage, he should be tried as an adult. Now, Shiv Khera, in this case, this is murder. It's culpable homicide. It's section 304. I can't think of a more heinous crime. So why shouldn't a juvenile justice board take the view that this man, 4 months short of turning 18, drunk behind the wheel, should be tried as an adult? It's a heinous crime.
I totally agree with you. This guy should be tried as an adult and punishable for murder, and his accomplice should be his father. You see, today, all over the world, you find, especially India, there are many newer rich people. You understand the word newer rich?
Yep.
People who have made new money through hook or by crook. They've got the money, they've got millions, but the values don't exist at all. And these are the people who have spoiled their kids. And people obey laws, as Mr. Azad was saying, people obey laws only for two reasons. Either they respect the law or they fear the law. I repeat, either they respect or they fear. Where is the respect and where is the fear? In this case, the father, he's got a spoiled brat. The worst thing is the father does not have any values himself. No wonder his kid did all this thing. His father is the culprit. He ought to be tried for murder as much as the kid himself. And the kid ought to be tried for a culpable murder. He should not get away. He must be tried as an adult and make it as an example for the whole country to come up. And let the judiciary learn too that this is not the way. Write a damn essay. I wish the judge's daughter or son had been killed. I would love to see what kind of judgment he would give at that time.
I agree with you.
They have double standards. They have no standards. You talk of law, they have no law. They have no law. They have total double standards. And if a judiciary had done the job right, this would never happen like this today.
All right. You know, this whole thing came to light because people were shocked, not so much at what happened in Pune. Of course, people were rightfully outraged about the 2 deaths of these young people. But what really was an eye-opener, was a complete shocker that people just couldn't wrap their heads around, was when the Juvenile Justice Board said, okay, give him bail, let him write an essay, let him cooperate with the traffic police, and we'll let him go. That was something that was unacceptable. But we leave it at that. Thank you very much to all our guests. We will be on top of this story and also what happened in Delhi and what happened in Rajkot, because we just cannot let, oh, system to aisa hi hai. System will always favor the rich and powerful. No. The system needs to be held to account. The rich and famous, no matter who you are, need to be held to account if you have done a crime. Whether it is the owners of the hospital in Delhi, the owners of the gaming zone in Rajkot, or whether it is the driver and his father in the case of the Pune crash.